The Badge to the Bone podcast contains adult language, mature themes, psychological nudity. Viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed here are ours and ours alone. Buckle up.
All right, welcome back to Badge of the Bone podcast. I'm Denny.
I'm Al.
Another episode, Al.
Let's do it.
Al?
Hey, Denny.
Hello again.
Hello again. We sit here once again
I know, I like it.
in Badge to the Bone headquarters, also known as the Shed Bar.
I love it in here.
I do too.
I love that we get to do the podcast.
Yes. We're at it again for another episode of season 3.
Yeah, I mean, we're just steaming along, man.
It's I'm knocking on wood right now.
You know,
Something hasn't
but-
gone off the rails yet.
But, I did want to address, because if folks may see, when we're dropping episodes, we're focusing really on a every other week drop.
Yeah.
And unless we have something that pops off that we want to talk about in the moment, we may drop one earlier, but we're kind of sticking with the every other week now. It makes it a little bit easier for the scheduling. Plus, we're trying to, hop on some stuff ourselves. So
Yeah. We are
trying to
hopefully
manage our time.
Hopefully we will be showing up in some other places,
Yeah.
talking to some other folks in a similar capacity.
If somebody actually wants to talk to us, maybe.
Crickets chirping. But I think that excuse me. I think the new schedule, it's going to be frustrating for a couple people. I want one every week.
I know.
Want one every
We
week.
already heard that. But...
Yeah, I've gotten that too. And again, some episodes may drop weekly, but most will not. And there may be something that one of us picks up the phone and calls the other and goes, "Holy crap, we got to get on with this right now."
Absolutely. So I just hope everybody is flexible, understands that we'll have a schedule, but subject to change given what's going on. So.
And it does help us a lot because obviously we're on multiple podcast platforms, but we use Spotify as our flagship.
Yep.
And so for those of you that are listening, you don't have to listen to us on Spotify, of course, but you can get a free account, go on there, and please like us and follow us on Spotify.
Definitely.
Because that does help us kind of track our listenership.
It does. And it helps broaden the podcast.
Yeah.
But tonight, we've got another guest.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be really good. We had very first season, we had Carrie on, who was a dispatcher, worked emergency communications with one of my former agencies. And she really gave some insight to that part of the first responder community. And, we talked about how important that is. And we really wanted to get more from that emergency communications aspect because we just feel that has been so overlooked.
It was eye-opening.
It was, and it was just like it's you know it, but you don't know it. If that makes sense. It probably don't make no damn sense, but you know it, but you don't. So tonight we have a former dispatcher, all the way from out in California.
Yeah. Somebody else on the West Coast who found us.
Right. Found us and reached out and she's been doing different podcasts, telling her story and her experiences, which I think is awesome because that's so important, is telling your story, letting everybody hear your story, because everybody has a story, has a piece to this huge puzzle.
That's right.
And she's with us tonight. We got Deborah Green, and she was formerly with El Dorado County Sheriff's Office. She spent 27 years there as a dispatcher. And before that, she was with Sacramento PD in dispatch. And she was actually a military police with the National Guard there in California. So she's got quite a bit of experience. And Deborah, welcome to
Hello.
Badge of the Bone.
Hello. But before
Hello.
we get started out, you need this.
Uh-oh.
What is that?
I kept this by my on my desk when I was dispatching, and you put out a call and nobody would answer you, and so I just hit the crickets.
I like it. We do need the crickets.
add,
Good call.
add that to the sound effects.
Yes, we do need the crickets. I love it. Well, thanks
Yes,
so
I
much for
did.
joining us.
One of the things I did not pass to anybody else when I left.
The crickets.
Crickets came with me.
I would imagine there's probably folks there that remember the crickets
Yeah.
Oh
and say, I
yes.
miss the crickets. I'm sure there are many that miss the crickets.
Oh yeah. So I love your
So,
little bar here. You got this
oh
thing
yeah, you
going
like
on
Thanks.
that?
back
Yeah.
there, man. That is
This
awesome.
is why we got to go on YouTube at some point just
Yeah,
to
you
Yeah.
show off the
gotta.
bar.
Yeah, just to show it off, because yeah, that's awesome.
This is our little setup so we get to, we can have a beverage and record our podcast and have our own little spot. But
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's good. But tell
yeah.
us, kind of start us off. How'd you find your way into the public safety field?
Uh, by accident, I think. I started out in the army, kind of just trying to find myself. Really, I was 19 and had no direction, so joined the army. Well, joined the National Guard, and then ended up out getting married while I was in AIT. Um, and moving to Texas for a little bit, and then divorced, remarried, had a kid, moved back to California, um, and just in time for the LA riots. So
oh
that
wow.
Oh,
was fun.
yay.
Yeah.
Oh
Um,
gosh. Yeah. Ooh.
but during that time, because you're a weekend warrior, you still have to have a regular job going on.
Hmm.
Right.
So I was working retail, and just wasn't having it, and so I started applying for uh, positions as deputy sheriff or police, and um, somebody said, "Hey, you might like being a dispatcher," and I said, "Well, okay, let's try that." So
Hmm.
um, got hired with Sacramento and went through their academy, and halfway through their academy was when we got called to go down to LA for the riots. So my career kind of overlapped right there,
Hmm.
and
I bet that was something.
that was awful. I
How
tell
long were
you
you
what.
down there?
I think we were down there. Time was just. I think we were down there about 4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Um, so we started our deployment down in Long Beach, and driving in, it was about 2 days after all of that mess started. So there was
Hmm.
working fires on every block, people still looting businesses. Um,
Jeez.
we were kind of hunkered down in a parking garage, where that's where we slept at and parked our cars and stuff. My job at the time, they put me back into communications because um, I was going through the academy with the police department. So they, even though I had become a military police officer, they stuck me in as communications, so that because I knew what to do, basically, to because we went into a what would you call it? When we were combat MP, so we didn't have a dispatch type of situation going. So they just stuck me in there to kind of organize things, which
Hmm.
was
Okay.
good. But I had to pull guard duty still. And while I was on guard duty outside the parking garage, I got shot at, which that was
What?
fun.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that was interesting. And then from Long Beach, we went to downtown LA, and we're the protector for Parker Center, which was headquarters for LAPD. So
Oh
we had
gosh.
our guys stationed all the way around Parker Center for a
Man.
couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
But
something else.
you don't train for that when you're in the Army. You're training for war. You're training
Right.
against another foreign enemy. You're not trained for civil disturbance within your own country. So yeah, it was interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I was wrapping up college when that happened.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
so I, remember being kind of glued to the news, watching what was going on there, and just like, holy shit.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
That was
it was
whoa.
different. Yeah. Um, that was kind of the catalyst that I did not renew my enlistment. I said, That's it. That's enough.
Yeah.
It's
No, I
safer
understand.
behind a phone.
Yeah. I don't blame you one bit on that one. Yeah.
So you got out of the guard and you ended up going dispatch full time.
Right.
Okay. Tell us about that.
Um, well, with Sacramento Police, I was still in training. So I
Mhm.
was on my last week of radio training when I was released from duty just because I wasn't fast enough for them. Um,
Oh, wow.
it's a when you're in a city, it's pretty rocking, and I just
Yeah.
couldn't get up my speed enough for
Mhm.
them. They had some really strict qualifications for dispatchers at the time,
Mhm.
and but they did give me excellent recommendations to other agencies that were smaller. So I started applying to smaller agencies after that, and then got
Okay.
with El Dorado County. And they even when after I had been released from duty, they hired me back as a part-time call taker until
Oh,
I
okay.
found another job. So, I mean, it wasn't that
Very
I
good.
didn't know what I was doing. It was just I wasn't fast enough on the radio portion of it to.
Sure.
So they were really actually seemingly kind of cool about it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Plus I had their academy, which was a great base for anywhere I wanted to go.
Hmm. Okay. And are you from talking to Denny here? You familiar with the Dispatch Academy?
Chesterfield, they have a basic training or an academy that they run through.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I don't think I was familiar with
I'm
that.
not sure how long it runs. I don't recall, and again, I should have been more informed on that and know a little more about that. But yeah, they do have an academy that they run their kind of basic training, I guess, before they, put them on a radio or on phones.
And that's where I have to say I have to eat it a bit and kind of embarrassing, but I did not know.
Well, and it all depends on the agency too. When I got hired at El Dorado, they didn't have one. It was here's the phone.
How fast can you type?
Okay, there we go. Yeah, the when my first night they handed me a binder and said, "Here's the binder. There's the copy machine. Go make copies for you." Yeah.
Mm,
It wasn't yeah, it was uh so different from Sacramento. But
hmm. Yeah.
by the time I left, I was able to help them and get them. So we had a really good training program where when your people came in the first night, they got a binder that was already done for them.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously Sacramento's a pretty good sized city,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
And but El Dorado, what was that county like?
So
I mean, it's rural mostly, isn't it?
um on the west end of the county was a little more suburban. A
Hmm.
lot of because it's kind of still takes a lot of the population from Sacramento. But I mean, you go from that to national forest in you're driving 30 minutes up Highway 50 and you're into the national forest. So I mean,
Oh
we had
wow.
an array. We had farmland, ranch land, national forest. Um, so we worked with a lot of other agencies also. So we're working with Forest Service and state parks and a lot of other LEOs along with our deputies, which was nice.
Gotcha. Huh. Now, so you spent 27 years there. So obviously you have, I don't want to say you've heard it all, but you've probably pretty much heard it all.
Just about, yeah.
On as far as the types of emergencies and calls that you will take and handle. And does El Dorado have, when you're working a shift, are you, like, if you're covering, is it divided up like you're on phones and somebody else is on radio, and you have someone that's on PD dispatch and someone that's on fire dispatch? Is it
So
segmented like that, or no?
when I started there, we were a consolidated dispatch. So we did fire, police, and um, sheriff's office.
Okay.
So we did Placerville Police Department. South Lake
Okay.
Tahoe, the city of South Lake Tahoe had their own dispatch, which was there. I mean, we dispatched out of Placerville, so it was easier for them to have their own dispatch on the other side of the hill. So when 1996 or 98, and I'm sorry, I'm old and my memory is shot. We
Well,
lost.
you came to the right place.
You're in good company.
Yeah. We lost our fire dispatch to Cal Fire, and so they
Okay.
dispatch all the fire, all the departments out of there now. And then in 2000, we lost Placerville Police Department. So we went from being consolidated to just sheriff's office by the time I retired. But our
Okay.
workload did not change. It actually got more.
Oh, wow.
It increased a lot. But I mean, when I started, we were, there was no calls like from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah, I worked somewhere
It's
like
like, what
that.
are we
Yeah.
going to do? We had a little TV we could watch. When I left, we could be busy all night long.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I kind of grew with the county.
Yeah. The very first agency I worked for was at a rural sheriff's office in a small county, and there was, I think at the time it was 34 deputies, and it was kind of the same thing. Pretty much by midnight, from pretty midnight and 6-7 a.m. It was very rare you got much. And I remember working on something. I really only had a couple of nights I worked. It was me and two other deputies, and then
Mm-hmm.
my last two nights was me and one other deputy. And then if he was off, it was me. It was a Lone Ranger. I had the whole county to me,
Wow.
other than if there's a trooper that might be nearby. And then we would have literally the dispatcher and me were like the only two working. We have the one dispatcher and me. And I remember, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Neither one of us could stay awake. And I'm sitting there in the ECC, and I think I tilted my head back, and I was out. Next, he tasked me. He's like, "Hey, man, you got a call." I'm like, "Oh, crap." Like, yeah, but it would be just be two of us, and dispatcher and deputy running the county. But
Wow.
and that changed, of course. Now they're busy as all get out, and
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
have nights like that anymore. So it's just funny how the times change. But you're 27 years, heard it all, probably handled. I can only imagine the types of calls and distress and the stuff over the radio and over the phones, but it had an impact on you, correct?
Absolutely. You don't get out of this profession without it affecting you. And,
Yeah.
you have trauma piled on trauma, piled on trauma. And, there comes a time when it just snaps.
Yeah.
So what was that time for you? When did that realization kind of really hit home?
In October of 2019, we had an officer involved shooting where the deputy
Mm.
died.
Ugh.
And I was the lead dispatcher on that. During the transmissions, I could hear the gunfire. Um, we lost
Mm.
communication with him. We tried to get communication back with him. Uh, and you send the world, and you go into it's almost like tunnel vision. Luckily, I had a good team working with me. We had 4 other dispatchers that night, And everybody, because we'd worked together for so long, we all know the procedures, and we all know everybody takes something to do to get the job done. And so that I was only left with just the radio. I didn't have to make any outside phone calls. I didn't have to, contact any other agencies. It was just me and that radio. Um, but because of the way it was extremely traumatic. And during all of this, so we sent the deputies out, and they basically got ambushed in a marijuana grow. Um, because California allows 12 plants per person, and what the cartels have done is come in and they have these people that grow for them. Well, the guy that was growing decided that he didn't want to give his stuff to the cartel as agreed. And so they came in, and he
Good luck with
called us. Yeah. And we walked into an ambush situation.
Oh,
So
jeez.
I had 3 deputies and a ride along who happened to be a deputy applicant. So he was also armed, which was good.
Jeez.
He got injured. So our ride along got shot, but he survived.
Gosh.
And then our 2 other guys that are also retired now. Nobody lasted a year after the incident that was on
I can
that
imagine.
call. Yeah. So it
How
was
did the Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
How did the agency handle that?
Yeah.
They handled it the best they had ever handled a critical incident in the time I had been there. We had an established peer support group, which was good.
That's good.
And when you have this kind of incident, everybody gets woken up. Whether you're at work or not, everybody gets a phone call, everybody comes in. So so we had all the peer support people there ready to go. This happened at 1:30 in the morning, so I didn't get relieved off the radio till 4:30. And by the time I was relieved off the radio, there was a peer support person waiting for me when I came out the room. So
Good.
that was
That's
awesome.
wonderful.
And we had our initial kind of debrief that night, or that morning, actually. After the debrief, we were part of the procession to take the body down to Sacramento for autopsy. So that was very emotional, driving down and seeing. Now, mind you, I had been hyper focused on the incident. I didn't realize what was going on in the rest of the world.
Sure.
So by the time, I think it was about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, the word had gotten out, and there were people over overpasses. Fire departments were over the overpasses. There were flags. It was amazing. We must have gone under a 13, 14 overpasses to get to where we needed to go. People on the side of the road. It was quite amazing. And then we had a debrief also 2 days later. So I mean, as far as the initial stuff for us, for mental health wise, it was excellent.
Okay,
It
that's
was
good.
the long term kind of sucked.
Sure.
But
So you said the long term sucked.
yeah. I had very little follow up as far as people contacting me to see if I was all right. Especially after I lasted at the department about a year. And then I went on workman's comp, and the psychiatrist signed me out in October of 2020 and said, "No, we need you off work. We need to see what's going on." And that's when I was diagnosed with PTSD.
So
Yeah.
What was going on? What was kind of like that signal to you long term, as you said, that you needed to step away from this job? The symptoms you were
I
experiencing
was
or the feelings you were
experiencing a lot
having?
of anger,
Yep.
a lot of survivor's guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first couple months after the incident, we got a new supervisor who didn't recognize or wasn't empathetic with what our shift had gone through, and
Mm-hmm.
took a lot of us down the disciplinary route rather than saying, "Hey, something's going on with all of you guys,"
Mm-hmm.
and getting us the kind of intervening and saying, "Hey, you guys need help." So, um, in August of 2020, one of the other supervisors who was going to school to be a therapist recognized what was going on and basically did an intervention with me and got me on workman's comp, which was
Good.
awesome.
Yeah.
I they took me off of all the overtime I was doing. They took me off of on call just to give me my 40 hours a week, to try and de-stress me a little bit, because when you've gone through all this trauma and you don't deal with it, and then you have people that are disciplining you for stuff that you're doing that you're not realizing you're doing, it's just it's a horrible vicious circle. And I was still in I was in therapy also, but
Mm-hmm.
not realizing what, my therapist wasn't at work with me, so she couldn't see what I was doing. And
Right.
um so yeah, when I went out in October 2020, that was the last time I was at work, and then I retired in June of 2021. But once I was signed out, nobody followed up. Nobody with peer support called me
Right.
except to get me to a trauma retreat, and then there was no follow up after that.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's a pretty common issue, Al.
Yeah.
That the major incidents happen, you do that debrief, you kick it off
And then it's magically
with
fine
right, and then
after that.
it's like it filters out and don't need to revisit it, and that's just not the case, particularly for something
No.
like that. And Deborah, I tell you that we've heard this a lot from folks in the first responder community, and the disciplinary is what's really disappointing, and a lot of agencies deal with that instead of taking a moment to go, okay, what's going on
Why
here?
is this
Right.
going
And
on?
and there may be where you just have a bad employee, no doubt.
Mhm.
But particularly if you have employees that were doing really well, performing well, and you're reliable employees, and now things are happening.
Mhm.
There's got to be something behind that, and nobody really wants to take the time to look in that, and they just go start putting pen on paper, and then employees that are good, that could remain on the job, end up leaving and
Mhm.
end up leaving over that
Hmm.
mess, and that's
Absolutely.
disappointing.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just, I was kind of disappointed. And, when I decided to retire, no card, no party, no thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Really,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
See, that's just
So, and I kind of want to come back to this because, we may have people that are listening to
mhm.
this now and, maybe in the exact same position you were in, that not necessarily an officer or deputy, but a dispatcher, and something has happened or some things have happened and they realize they're not right. You know, what should they be looking for in themselves? And that should be kind of like that light bulb that goes off that says, I need more help. Something's not right.
Oh, let's see. Where's my list? um, um, very short tempered.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Self isolation
Mm-hmm.
is a
Yep.
big one, but that happens,
Yeah.
because we're law enforcement, we tend to do that anyway.
Yep.
Both of
Um,
those things sound oddly familiar.
But if you're, I don't know how to explain. Everybody else saw the changes in me, and I
Mhm.
couldn't see them. If that, I don't know if that makes any sense at all. I
No, that
was,
makes 100. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I experienced similar to that.
So, if you don't mind me asking, how was your home life during that
my
period?
home life was fine.
Okay.
My
Okay.
husband is fabulous. He lets me. He knows what kind of job I had, and he would let me talk about it when I got home. So it wasn't like, I could tell him the down and dirty of what I was hearing on the phones, and
Mhm.
what, what, it let me how do I put this? What the idiot deputies would do that night. Sorry.
No, no.
That's fair
You're not
enough.
gonna
That's
believe what these guys did on shift last night.
brutal honesty. Absolutely.
Sometimes it's
Absolutely.
deserved. Yeah. Yeah.
How many traffic stops did so and so do, and why did he do them? And um, just
God, I
telling him
wish he'd
about.
shut up.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he allowed me to, when I would come home and just kind of do that. Uh, for most of the time we've been together. He's worked day shift and I've worked night shift because we have 3 kids between the two of us.
Mhm.
So that way we didn't have to do put out for
Yeah. Oh,
childcare,
yeah.
which was really good. So yeah, there wasn't, when I had a day here and there, it's he would just let me vent, and which was really good.
No, that's big. That's if you have, a spouse or partner or someone that you're with that understands that, that's huge because a lot don't. And that can be
Yeah.
very difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt. So that's good that you had that.
Yes.
Um,
Very much so. And I had been in therapy also since 2016. Um 2015 I had open heart surgery to replace a faulty aortic valve. And
oh,
so,
wow.
along with that comes some mental health issues too.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So not only had I had all these years of mental trauma, I had a physical trauma on top of that. Um, so and then went back to work, but yeah, I was in a weekly support group for 3 years and was doing really great. And then they stopped the support group in early of 2019, which I think kind of led to, it was like a perfect storm the end of 2019. I'm sorry to
Sure.
say.
No,
um you know
I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
Absolutely.
we went into COVID. So
Mm.
we've got all this trauma, and you're trying to get all this mental health stuff done, and then you go into COVID.
Mhm.
And so everything's remote. You're not getting face-to-face counseling anymore, which is kind of important sometimes. But I'm really liking my remote therapy now, because I can do it in a nice, safe, comfortable place. But yeah, so if I hadn't been in therapy, I think I would have been worse off at that time.
Yeah.
Mm.
You kind of go, how bad off would I have been? And I still had, because I was in therapy, I had all those tools that I could use.
I was
But
just gonna
even
say you
then,
had
that,
some tools in your toolbox.
yeah, and then, but that trauma was just significant enough to cause me not to be able to work again in that profession.
No,
Yeah.
everything, people may be hearing this and go, "Well, that doesn't sound that bad," or this thing. No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Complete. Yeah. And the COVID situation, it wasn't the COVID that really
No, it
bothered
was
me at all. It was
not
all the
being able to,
craziness
yeah,
that got
being
associated
secluded
with it.
in the houses. My husband and I used to take off on the weekends and just go
Mhm.
drive around Northern California,
Mhm.
and we couldn't do that. And you couldn't go to the
Mhm.
grocery store, you couldn't do this. And so you're with
Mhm.
being self-isolating because of your trauma. Now you're being forced to isolate because of outside influences. And, so yeah, it was just a perfect storm. It really was.
I get it.
Now, let me ask you, so therapy, we talk a decent amount about that on here, and we are definitely advocates for seeking therapy. We think there's value in it. Unfortunately, for the first responder community, there is a big stigma centered around asking for help or going to see therapy. So, I guess my question is, did that play in to you? Were you resistive to go to see, or did it take a push or a nudge from somebody, or did you yourself finally determine, I've got to go do something to work on this?
I had some fabulous coworkers that had literally had an intervention with me and said, "You need to go get help before they fire you." That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Well, and
So,
that's huge, because that's not easy to do. That's not easy to come tell somebody that, and particularly if someone you're close to. I imagine they were fabulous coworkers. I'm sure all were very close.
I had some great ones. Yeah, it it kind of ran the gamut, though. You have those ones, and those some of those supervisors and coworkers add to that trauma over the years too.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, if you've been listening to any of our past episodes, that is a recurring theme. Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
And poor leadership kind of threw me into the tailspin in 2015, 2016, and then the same thing again in 2019, 2020. And when you've had people that have been traumatized, you can't take that micromanagement, that disciplinary, that uh, you can't be that supervisor that does that to people, because you're going to lose them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
You lose good people.
Yeah,
good people.
Absolutely.
Oh, I think micromanagement is probably one of the most demeaning and over time traumatizing things, more than the authoritarian leader.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, it overlooks
Yeah.
the
But they
importance.
almost go hand in hand.
Well, it overlooks
know,
the importance of the individual. It's like you lose the importance of this individual, where you just become just an employee or just a person at work.
Yeah.
And
A cog in the wheel.
yeah, and that's just not the place for the first responder jobs. It's just not. The
Well,
way
and
the
you can't
dynamic
be that
is.
way, especially with the guys on the street. You can't be that supervisor that micromanages, follows behind your patrol guys and
Right. Right.
and and picks at what they're doing. And same with a dispatcher. You got to be able to trust your employees and
Yeah.
not sit there and go, do this, do this, do this, because when you're micromanaging, down the road, the employee begins to question their ability
Oh yeah.
to make
Oh
choices and to
Yep.
actually do their job. And then that's where you get the tailspin. And
Oh yeah. It can be incredibly damaging to one's self-worth.
oh, absolutely.
I
And
mean,
I
when
was
you
just
think we're alpha personalities, if you will, whether it's officers or dispatchers, you
yep.
know, we're strong, capable people for the most part. And you put us through a substantial vetting process to either be an officer or dispatcher or deputy, whatever it may be. And you've entrusted us with life or death. Can you not trust that I'm going to do the things you hired me to do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
And if not, just kick my ass to the curb.
Yeah, just send me on. I'll go somewhere where I don't need that.
Exactly. I mean, fair enough. But
right.
if that's not the case, then leave me the hell alone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Now,
I tell
let me
you.
ask you. We've talked about this before again with dispatchers, and there is, I think, nationwide, I think it's safe to say that for the majority, and we'll find out how it was for your agency, but for the majority, a dispatcher is not quite given the same level of response or due care as your deputy, your police officer, your firefighter. they're not viewed as the actual first responder. They're viewed as a call taker or a person on the radio, or, mind you, they classified them as a secretary. And
in Virginia, they are admins.
Yeah.
Same as secretaries.
Well, much even anywhere. At the federal level, the federal classification is still under administrative, not under first responders. And we're trying to get that changed through the 911 Saves Act.
I just saw something on that the other day where they're trying to push that through.
Right.
And that would open up.
It would open up so much more to us.
Yes.
And being able to get workman's comp.
Yes.
Or easier, because as it is right now, when I applied for workman's comp, they had never had anybody in Northern California, I think it was, apply for workman's comp because as a dispatcher because of mental health.
Really?
And so there was nothing set up in the workman's comp system to go and be evaluated, because when you apply for workman's comp, you go to a doctor. And that doctor refers you to whoever you need to go to for whatever problem you're having. They don't have a system to do that for mental health. So they literally had to call somebody that was a psychiatrist in the area to have her do the mental health evaluations.
Oh.
So I was kind of like
you were the test case.
I was the test case. Yeah.
So the 911 CARES Act, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Are you involved in helping promote or push through that legislation?
Well, I'm just little old me trying to get people to, when the subject comes up, I try to get people to contact their representatives in Washington and get this passed. But we know how Washington is right now, so good luck with that.
I hope they do. I just think people forget how difficult of a job that is, and that Deborah, what you did on the radio and what you do on the phones is traumatic. I think people get this misnomer that, if you're not on scene, it's not traumatic, and that's just a gross misrepresentation.
Absolutely.
For your incident, you hearing that going on, I can't imagine having it. I know for an officer responding, I know how that, you're trying your hardest to get there. No matter how hard you're driving, how quick you're driving, you're not moving fast enough. But, on the emergency communication side, you're stuck. You can't go there. You have to try to do everything you can on the radio to help them get there. And that is and the chaos on the radio is unbelievable.
Luckily,
in those types of situations.
We had many incidents like this, so that they knew when I told them to restrict traffic, they shut the hell up and they used their MDTs.
That's good.
I had a problem with telling people, "Hey, you're talking too much. Knock it off. I can't hear my people."
No, that's good.
But that just comes from time and knowing your people and working with your shift and whatnot.
But to hear those things and to
hear that, even when you pick up the phone and it's a mother who's found her son dead.
Oh gosh.
It's a daughter who's just watched her father shoot her brother. It's somebody actively getting stabbed. And then you have to go from those calls to answering for, alarm company and just putting in a barking dog call, an alarm call, or talking to that 3-year-old that got a hold of mommy's cell phone.
Right.
You've got to go from this where your adrenaline is up so high that you haven't had time to process to come down yet. And then you've got to go into being calm for these other people too. And it's just, I don't think even the guys on the street don't realize you go to a call, you may handle 6 calls in a night with investigations or whatever. Now multiply that by 10 an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
You
just
know, I
with
mean,
the no, go ahead.
where my busiest night at SAC PD, I entered 100 calls in an 8-hour shift. That was the calls
Wow.
I entered for service. That wasn't the calls I actually answered.
Wow.
Now, when you figure that you're answering other calls that you don't put stuff in for, that's a lot in an 8-hour shift.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That is a lot. You know, you mentioned those traumatic calls that you gave out some kind of garden variety. That just shows you what kind of profession we work. When you mention that as a garden variety, but you talk about the mother finding their child. That you're hearing the stabbing going on. You are hearing the terror in the
Oh,
moment.
yeah. Oh,
In the
yeah.
moment, and I think people forget that. Even for an officer responding on scene, they're still responding to terror, but they're not hearing it in the moment. Not typically.
Right.
You are. That's tough.
And I'm
That's going to
hearing
take a
it from
toll.
the time it almost starts until
Yes.
the officer gets there. If it's
Yep.
one of those calls where you're required to stay on the phone and get updated information.
Yeah.
You know, I was on the phone with a husband and wife for an hour, maybe a little less, a prowler in the neighborhood. And as I'm on the phone with them, this guy starts breaking into their house. And they're like, "Well, can I shoot him?" And I'm going, "You do what you need to do." You know, it's like, I can't tell you to shoot him. I can't tell you not to shoot him. I said, "Just do what you need to do to protect yourself." And they ended up, I heard them shoot this guy.
Oh wow. Wow.
And my deputies
And
were not there yet.
Oh jeez.
and see, I think in that respect, so like we as officers responding, I mean, obviously you have that human element. There are those situations where things are going down in real time
Yeah.
for you there.
Yeah.
But many times we are getting there after all those conversations have occurred.
Absolutely.
And in that sense, I think maybe we can maintain a level of personal detachment that the dispatchers can't.
Well, they've been through that victim or that person, that caller, from when it happens to the very end. We're in there in the middle somewhere, or we're at the very end.
Right.
So, but we're not that from the start to finish, you know. And Deborah, you said something before we got recording, and we talked for a little bit, and you mentioned y'all are the first responders.
The first responders, yes, because we're
I like
there.
that a
We
lot.
answer the call.
That is
But
so
we're
true.
also, we're also the forgotten first responders.
I know, and y'all dispatchers, emergency communications are as much a first responder as anybody else out there. And I really do like how when you said that, the first responder, that is just so true. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're out now.
Yes.
But you are involved in trying to help others.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Well, kind of go around and tell my story, because I want to be able to reach that person that needs to hear what's. Sorry.
That's all right.
I want to be the person that I needed to hear.
Yep.
Right.
And that's awesome that you do that. And I know it's not easy for you to tell your story, but it is important. I mean, I guarantee out there is somebody that does need to hear it.
Oh,
you know, if I reach that one person, then it's worth it. And if that person gets help, it's worth it. And I'm trying to work with my congressman also to get some of these kind things pushed through Congress. 911 saves is one of them. There's also another one that's um, regarding law enforcement and mental health, or first responders and mental health. And I heard a snippet a couple weeks ago, and I've been trying to get a hold of my congressman to find out what exactly it is that's going through, and possibly see if I can testify as a person with mental health that happened to be a first responder, and see if we can get that passed too, to get some help for our guys.
Well, just do you know where that legislation stands right now? Like 911
No, I
saves?
sure don't. I haven't. I'm going to be calling again tomorrow to try and get a hold of somebody. Apparently, it's a big backlog of people calling.
Oh, well,
And
good.
For just calling congressmen, and yeah, that I've
Well, I hope
written
they're calling for
letters and
that.
emails, and I get a thanks for your email. We're still sifting through everything that we're
Oh,
getting.
jeez.
So yeah, it's just there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So
Congress is doing everything except their jobs for the most part.
well,
Right.
there's
Right.
I happen to like mine. He's a go-getter. It's just, everybody contacts him about all sorts of things, and he only
Sure.
has so much staff. So hopefully one of
Mhm.
these years I'll get through and figure out what's going on and get working on that.
Well, if you get more information about that, we'll go do some digging on our own. But we'd really, really like to know more about where that legislation stands and
Absolutely.
whatever we can do to help support it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No,
and
that's very
also
important
within
stuff.
the states too, there's several states that I know legislation is pending to make dispatchers first responders. California has already done that, which is really good. Um, but there's still states out there that dispatchers are not first responders, and
Right.
It is. They are not here
No,
in
we
Virginia. I know there was some conversation about that changing. I don't know that got on the legislative agenda this session.
we might need to look and see if it
Yeah.
did. It's
Carrie, I know you're listening. Let us know.
yeah. I hope it does. It's I'm glad to hear that it is out there.
yeah,
And maybe that's where it starts and spreads from there. But
it just it's we've got to get people calling their representatives, state and national, and get these things done for us, because otherwise we're just, the services aren't going to be there, and it's just
yeah,
it's a lot.
Oh yeah.
it is.
Well, Carrie, I'm sorry, I said Carrie.
I was talking to Ken. That is a boy.
And that's
Carrie, they
when the
love
Alzheimer's.
you.
Yeah, we do. Deborah, I want to shift gears for a second. You guys, because you're sitting there, you're taking the calls, you hear a lot of strange stuff.
Yes.
Okay. And just on a lighter note, what is one of the strangest or most perplexing or just downright bizarro calls you ever fielded as a dispatcher?
Let's
Not the
see.
traumatizing ones or the horrible ones,
Oh,
but
no.
just like this is
All the-
weird or
all the funny
whatever.
shit.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I
Because you hear that
have
as dispatchers and we usually don't.
I've had UFO calls, which those are fun.
Oh, see, I like that stuff.
Um,
I like that.
that was kind of cool, and finding out who they need to call, and I usually had those numbers kind of on. I had a little card with
The
unusual
X-Files
stuff
calls.
yes, X-Files calls.
Oh, the Southwest gets all kinds of X-Files
They
calls.
do.
And had a possible Bigfoot call one time,
right.
which
See?
was
See,
kind of
that's
cool.
the kind of like,
We don't get that out of it. Sasquatch.
That one was
They did. Chesterfield got one.
Sasquatch
awesome.
call?
Yes, they were getting them down near the Dinwiddie line.
Are they sure it's not just a big hairy Chester boy out there?
Well, I mean, that is possible.
Well,
so UFOs and Sasquatch calls.
Sasquatch call. Yeah, the Sasquatch call was kind of cool. The guy was up near South Lake Tahoe in a cabin on the outskirts, and said somebody had been looking in his window and left bare footprints walking out towards the woods. And I went, well, hon, I think you got a Sasquatch. My best call, the funniest call that I ever did, was on Thanksgiving morning. And the guy calls 911 and said, a bear got into my fridge outside and ate my turkey. And the first thing that came out of my mouth, first thing out of my mouth was bummer.
And you would like us to do what, sir?
Dude.
I don't know if we could charge him with larceny of turkey.
Or these people that we call them flatlanders, the ones that are from the city that go up to Tahoe. And the one lady called because there was a skunk that dared to walk past her VRBO.
Oh gosh.
And we're going, lady, you know,
yeah. That just really stinks, but there's nothing we can do.
So yeah, you just quite the array of unusual calls.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. I know we had I won't say what agency it was with, but there was an agency where someone called for the fire department, and when they got the dispatcher on the call, they're like, you know, what's your name? Like, well, there's a horse in my yard, and they're like, well, was it on fire? And they're like, no. Well, what are we gonna do? I think they actually got in trouble for that one. But
oh my gosh, yeah. And I've had deputies go in pursuit of cows. That was kind of fun, because you know cows get out and we got to wrangle them.
Had to move.
Part of being in a rural department, yeah, a moving violation. All
right, that's enough out of the both.
That's just utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Come on,
I'm turning my mic off.
I'm here all night.
That's right. Oh, that's too good. That's too good. Oh man. Well, Deborah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's been a joy talking to you.
Well, really I appreciate you letting me come and tell my story and have a few laughs and, you know,
absolutely
cry a little bit.
And again, if there's anything that you think we need to know about, please let us know. If there's anything we can do to help you and your cause along, also please let us know.
Yes. Well, right now we're my main concern right now is my grandson. So we're in the process of diagnosis for autism for him. And so we're in the early stages of that. So that's my main concern right now. But you know, I still do all this other stuff.
Right. So, good for you.
You know, it's because this is a hard thing, and we've got to let our chiefs and our sheriffs and all our head honchos know that, you know, this is important to us now, and we need to stop. We need to stop the stigma, and we need to take care of our people.
Very true.
Well, thank you. That is what we like to think we're all about here.
Absolutely, yeah. So, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And please stay in touch with us.
Yes, definitely.
Take care. Be well.
Yeah.
So lately we've had a lot of folks ask us, hey guys, how can we help support the podcast? Well, there's a lot of ways you can do that. And first is wherever you're listening to Badge of the Bone, whatever platform you're using, make sure to follow us. That's a huge help. Also, go over to our Facebook page and make sure to like and follow us there. Another way you can support the podcast is through a monetary donation. If you notice in the descriptions to each episode, there's a link that says support this podcast. Click that link and you can make a monetary donation as small or as big as you like. You can also make it reoccurring. Any amount is helpful and we are appreciative. And the last way you can support the podcast is through our Badge of the Bone podcast store. The link for that is located on our Facebook page and on our website, badgetothebone.com. And we've actually got some pretty cool stuff on the store. We've got t-shirts, we've got hoodies, stickers, we've got tumblers. The tumblers are great. I take my tumbler everywhere. It's awesome. You know, take a look at and purchase something. Anything you get helps support this podcast. It helps us keep this thing going. So thanks so much. But let's get back to the show.
That was fun.
That was.
I'm very glad that Deborah came on.
Yeah, that was great. It's awesome that she's all the way out in California.
Heard about the show and
reached out. So yeah. I do think it's important to hear these perspectives from folks at Work Dispatch.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And now we've had 2 excellent resources for that on the show.
Yes, absolutely.
To tell us about their experiences. And it's very interesting that Deborah really mirrored a lot of what Carrie was telling us all the way back in season 1.
Yep.
And, here we got 2 people that separated by a continent.
Yeah.
That are telling us very, very similar stories.
Yeah. It's still disappointing that they're still facing that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I worry that it's going to be an uphill battle getting that legislation through. I hope not.
I suspect it's going to be, and it's probably going to happen or have to happen at the state level before the federal government gives it the attention it deserves.
That could be. It's just, to me, it's a no-brainer. But
you think back. Think about 9/11.
Oh yeah.
Think about the dispatchers.
Oh, that handled all that,
handling all the traffic in 9/11. The call takers, and I'll go back to something because he was just on Jeff Katz every 9/11 anniversary.
Yeah.
Plays a call between a dispatcher and a guy calling from the South Tower. And the guy didn't make it. The building collapsed while she was on the phone with him. And that dispatcher is left with that for the rest of their life.
Yeah. And that's hard. And that is the quintessential first responder. Mm-hmm. Really.
First meaning truly first.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, and regarding the 911 Saves Act,
yes,
I really want to know more about that because Deborah talking about that tonight was the first I had heard of that.
And I'd seen an article on LinkedIn about it. I think I actually made a comment on it that I hope that gets passed, that it's very important.
I would love to know where it is.
Yeah, we need to maybe research that and see where it is. And I agree with her that everybody needs to reach out to your representative. Hammer them with phone calls. That needs to be passed. And that's something that can be easily bipartisan.
Oh, absolutely. It should be.
Well, yeah.
It should be.
Absolutely. So, but, and before we kind of close this thing out, I did want to throw out there that we are having some technical difficulties with the website. So badgetothebone.com, we are working on it. I'm not a web guru. I'm not a technical.
We're barely podcast guru.
Oh, that is a true story. So it even gets worse when you start doing web work. So we are working on fixing that. Hopefully we'll have that back up and running soon.
Right. And then in the meantime, though, really treat the Facebook page as the de facto website.
Yeah, please. And that's got the most up-to-date anyway as of right now. So, but we're working on getting the website back up, getting it updated and everything.
The merch thing still works.
Yes.
Yeah. That portal still works.
Yes.
In the off chance that you want some Badge to the Bone merch,
the Badge to the Bone store, that link is still good to go.
Which really is not doing anything more than helping us, buy a piece of equipment here
right.
on a good day.
I can get a microphone cord, another one.
Yeah, but it does help us promote the show.
Man, it really does. But Al, that's going to wrap it up.
I believe that it does.
Where can they find us? Even though you already mentioned it, but where?
Well, they can find us on the currently down badgetothebone.com, or they can find us on Facebook at Badge to the Bone.
Also, shoot us an email at wearebadgetothebone@gmail.com. But until then, as always, be safe.
And be well.
ain't no